Welcome to another episode of my podcast, That's Fine With Me. We're going to be talking about Sex and the City and my final part, I believe, about the series, Miranda Hobbs and Charlotte York. Both of those characters are very interesting from their own perspective. In the previous episode, I talked about Carrie and Samantha, as well as I talked about some economy issues that caused the series. But right now, I am rewatching all of the episodes of Sex and the City. Not in order, but still watching some of my favorite episodes. Let's talk about Miranda Hobbs, and I guess she's one of the best characters. Aside from Samantha, they're completely different, but they're quite similar at the same time. I guess Samantha is brutally honest as well as Miranda is brutally honest, but Miranda is a little bit cynic at some point, and I really love that. Sometimes people say she is a little bit pessimistic about things and life itself, but I don't really think it's pessimist. I guess she's a realist. I mean, she's dating a lot of guys and all of them turn out to be pathetic or weird or a little bit crazy, but I don't really get the vibes from Miranda that she really wants to get married. I guess she was going out so many times with other guys and not getting married or not getting into a serious relationship because she doesn't really want to have any sort of relationship. As she says, she wants to pursue a career, she wants to focus on her career itself. The only problem that I can see that she's probably still rejecting some of the norms, social norms we see in the society, especially with kids. And she's like, I don't really care. I want to be a woman that is successful in life. But at the same time, she found out about her ovary, the problem with the ovary, and that she might have a problem getting, pregnant. And when she got pregnant, that was an instant, let's say, abortion for her, but later on she realized that she really wanted to keep a baby because she was over 30 and that was sort of her last shot to have a baby because her last age that she could have a baby was 43. And honestly, she's still having this problem with the boundaries, when am I gonna have a baby? I honestly got a vibe from Miranda that she doesn't really want to have a baby at all, but still there's some let's say norms around us women and men and I guess families, and when there's still a lot of people that she maybe wanted to have a kid because she was pushed into this position. But I don't really know about that, though still either way I really like Miranda. And Carrie and Charlotte, both of them have their own charm, but I can't say I'm a huge fan of both of them. If I choose between four, I guess Samantha's gonna get the first place, then Miranda, then it's gonna be probably, I don't know, maybe Charlotte and Carrie are gonna share. But why do people call her pessimist? And she called herself a pessimist as well. I believe it is because of one of those episodes when Steve and they were still together and he got a shot to play for Knicks or throw a ball and then earn a lot of money. And she was like, yeah, sure. That it's impossible. It's even impossible for Knicks players. And now you're actually saying that Steve can earn this money. And this was, I guess, a little bit pessimistic. And though it's realistic, but you should always, I guess, have at least some hopes that something is going to work out for you. I believe she is a successful woman. She's really smart. She works for a law company. She went to Harvard, if I'm not mistaken. And she's, I guess, one of those successful role models. But at the same time, I guess I love that she was feeling comfortable living alone and not actually going out for some relationship. I guess the main point for her to have any sort of relationship was to have at least sometimes random sex. But when they were dating, she was dating Steve, at first she just really liked the fact that they were not living together and they had their own space. But I guess she's a little bit tough outside but really soft inside. I love that she always gave an honest perspective on things. And I remember she was saying that why should we apologize for success? And Samantha reacted bravo, because it's always hard. I guess it's even hard right now to see successful women, and a lot of men are threatened by a success of their wife or girlfriend. Honestly, I can't say, maybe it's still working around. I don't really think it's a huge deal now, but in my opinion, a lot of the times when women are less successful than men, it's expected. It's expected in a way that he's earning money, he's providing for the family, and women are staying home and babysitting kids, which at some point is quite it's true probably. But on the other hand, I guess with the social media and TikTok and all of these platforms, a lot of women, not only women, of course, men, but a lot of women were given this opportunity to show their maybe house or to show their life and maybe how they cook, something ordinary, share this with people and gain the success they wanted. I guess if my great grandma, who passed away a couple of years ago, she was 100 years old. So if she had a channel like YouTube or maybe TikTok back in the day, she could teach the damn class, as Samantha would have said. I mean, like, yeah, she was really good. She was a housewife, but at the same time, when there was a Second World War, she was working in the medicine field. And yeah, I really like that she believes you don't really need a man to succeed and you can do this by your own. And I really like one of her phrases. I don't remember, I can't quote it, but I remember it was like, slipping with a man is you're given a power, or something like slipping with the boss, you're giving up your power, something like that. And honestly, I kind of agree with the fact that it's not always good to slip with someone from your work. My mom and my dad, they actually got together when they were working together and they started dating, but my mom quit as soon as they started dating. And it was mutual. My mom didn't really wanted to continue the work at this place, and so she just switched to a little bit different job. And yeah, that's how they started. I mean, it's okay when you start dating, but working together and then coming home together, I guess it's not really good. Someone is gonna flirt and you can see this. Someone is gonna, I don't know, maybe just like you might have some fight and some miscommunication at work, and then you come home and it's really hard to stay all of it outside of working place and just carry on with your real life. So I guess Miranda is pretty much right about this whole situation. And I really like that when she gave birth, when they went to a casino, all of them in a trip, and she was a little bit out of her shape. One guy, he commented, and first she was a little bit uncomfortable, but I really like her comment later on when she said, I gave birth a couple of weeks or maybe a month ago, and what's your excuse for having a fat ass? You know, I really like that she could stand up for herself and feel in this small insecurity that what she was vulnerable, I guess, still. I mean, she did give birth and she did feel out of shape and out of form, but at the same time, I really like that she got back her strength and she always was, you know, upfront and telling jerks that they're jerks. And honestly, when I saw Miranda dating Steve, it always felt like a mom and a son, and Steve was more like, oh, I want to have a puppy, I want to have a baby. And Miranda was like, okay, we need to see from a little bit different angle and perspective, like, can we take care of this baby, can we take care of this dog, can we take care of this and that? And frankly speaking, when she gave birth, though it was strictly her own decision, still Steve, he stayed with the baby, but then Miranda paid for the nanny, and Steve wasn't actually actively participating. No, he was actively participating in this whole relationship, but I mean, she still had a full-time job, she paid for the nanny, she paid for the apartment, and then she gave birth, and she still carried on with raising the kid. I know, I really love Steve, but at the same time, it's a little bit different story. I mean, could Miranda live with a guy who would be strong and take responsibilities, or she would just freak out about this whole situation because she wants to be in control and she wants to have the power? And that is the main reason why I believe Steve was a great person for her, because he was helping in some ways and he was quite, you know, like honest as well and cute, but from a little bit different perspective, he was giving her full control of their life and she could choose. Of course, sometimes he had his opinion, which is good, but most of the time Miranda was in charge. And I guess this type of relationship was perfect for Miranda and Steve. He found a mom and she found a son, and they worked this out. Even having a baby, she wasn't relying on anyone. She was taken all the responsibilities herself, and that's why I really love Miranda that much. And when Miranda was super honest about Big and all the situation with Carrie, I understand Carrie was offended most of the time that Miranda was like, again, are you again with him? Are you immune to this relationship? And Carrie was a little bit offended, but frankly speaking, Carrie was always talking about Big and all of her relationship. And when she got another perspective, Miranda got another perspective of Carrie heartbroken, of course she cared about Carrie, and then at the same time, was she volunteering to listen another said talk about how cruel he was and how he could do this to her? I don't really know. That was it, I guess, for Miranda. I really like her character. And now let's talk about Charlotte. Out of all, Charlotte was less cynical and she was an optimist, which is cool. I totally get it. From certain series you can get that Charlotte had a really nice background, and she probably had really rich parents. She had a horse back when she was a teenager. She was a model for Ralph Lauren for some period of time, and then she still had great education. She was proficient in arts, and she had like, I guess, Bachelor of Arts degree. And then she was smart and at the same time educated. I believe what was really interesting that she was a little bit judgmental about her friends, hooking up with guys, but at the same time she was doing pretty much the same. And with all this background and with all this richness, I believe she picked her friends based on sex. Let's see, Samantha is a sex addict, a sex lover, and she wasn't afraid to speak about that. Carrie, obviously, she was writing about sex. She was a sex columnist. And then Miranda, who still enjoyed sex, she still enjoyed the power that she could have. And Miranda actually was not a marriage type up until a certain point. So Charlotte was, as I don't know, like a black sheep in this group because she wanted to get married, she wanted to have kids, but at the same time, she still, I guess, enjoyed this glimpse of sex life, how people live and how they have, let's say, their relationship built. She still had a lot of partners, I guess, for a girl that is so classy and so innocent as she's, I guess, shown herself. She still had quite a lot of partners, and in some series, she was like, "Are you willing to give up this amazing and caring man for, I don't know, like not having sex?" I mean, sex is not important in the relationship, and most of the time she would still have a lot of sex, and when guys couldn't fulfill her ideal dream of, I don't know, like sex, but they were great, she still dumped them. And this is a little bit hypocritical when she's telling her friends that sex is not something that is important. She's still, let's say, a little bit judgmental sometimes, and then she would dump a guy for not having sex with her. And especially there were a guy who was taking some drug and that he couldn't get it up, as well as her husband Trey still couldn't get it up for quite a long period of time, but she had a great relationship with him. Still, she couldn't manage to date him, and that is the funniest part. She was like always telling, like, how can you dump this guy who's so nice for just sex? And then she does pretty much the same. I believe Charlotte's main problem was that she was a perfectionist and she wanted everything to be perfect, a perfect marriage, a perfect couple, perfect romance. It's straight out of the book, but how realistic is that? And maybe that was the main point when she was hanging out with her friends that were down to earth and they saw a realistic life, and maybe that was a balance between something she needed to hear from her realistic friends and something that she still had in her fantasy that she could probably marry a guy. And in her second marriage, she started with sex, and it's so cool that Samantha, she got offended when Samantha said, how can you marry a guy, the first marriage with Trey, how can you marry a guy if you didn't have sex with him? She's like, oh, it's not really important, but it is important. And all of this time, she showed us that it was important for her as well when she dumped guys who couldn't have sex with her or were like bad kissers or something like this. It is important. And when she was brushing this off and saying that it's not meaningful, I guess this is a small fantasy of a girl that loves reading those princess books, how charming Prince Charming and the princess. But then in real life, it matters. It matters how much sex you get and how much is it okay for you? Is it good or not? So that's why I guess she married Harry, because first of all, the sex was great. Second of all, they could go along perfectly well. And then maybe she was a little bit desperate, but Harry was still open to her ideas, and that's why she married him. The only thing that I did not understand is the willingness, Charlotte's willingness to give up some of her, I guess, beliefs in order to get married or in order to get something. As well as in the first marriage, she wanted to be sort of a virgin and didn't care about, let's say, sex. And then Trey said that sometimes he has a problem, and that was when she had to, face the truth that she picked a man based on her, like, cuckoo. And then second time when they started dating with Harry, she wanted to get married, but then she changed her religion. That's big and huge. But the next time, it's the weirdest part. When she changed her religion, she expected him to marry her right away. But this is the weirdest part. If you want to change your religion, it should be based on your own goals and your personal, I guess, beliefs, not because you just want to get married. And she wanted to get married, that's why she changed her belief. This is not okay, and it's probably okay for her, but she got what she wanted. He didn't want to marry her straight away, and she pinpointed this at him, like, I did it for you and you don't really want to marry him. And he said, I didn't ask you to change your religion. This was your own choice. So that was a little bit weird and strange, and that is the main reason why Charlotte is a little bit weird as well as Carrie. Carrie was always like about herself and a little bit selfish with her self-talk and big in all of her drama. And Charlotte was like, I'm gonna give up whatever it takes. It's a little bit pathetic. to just like marry a guy and give up yourself. She loved to be at a gallery and work, and she gave up her gallery just because she possibly could get pregnant. I mean, it's safe to say that if she got pregnant, then it's okay probably to quit her job. But knowing the fact that she just quit her gallery because she assumed she would get pregnant sooner or later, that was a little bit weird in my opinion. Another gave up of her own dream. And yeah, I guess this is a little bit weird. And now, real quick, I want to talk about their astrological signs. It's so interesting, but a lot of their, let's say, patterns in their behavior reflects the real signs that you read about and you meet people in person. For example, Samantha Jones, she is Kim Cattrall. She is a Leo in life. In real life, she's a Leo. And honestly, she does act like a Leo. Bold, brave, very sexy. And she's a little bit, maybe a little bit narcissistic, which is fine, I guess, in some points. And, I guess she's a real Leo. And I don't know if those directors were basing their choices on their astrological signs, which I doubt. But they do actually act as a Leo, I guess, would act most of the time. Not, of course, everyone, but they're just like the real description of the astrology sign. Then if we're talking about Miranda Hobbs, she is Aries in real life, and she's straightforward. She's like doing everything by herself. She wants to be herself. And I have a lot of Aries. My mom is an Aries, my dad is Aries, but like women are different. And my friend is Aries. And honestly, it's so similar. Maybe the main reason why I really like Miranda is that she kind of reminds me of my mom in some ways. My mom is not probably that pessimistic, not even pessimistic, that realistic, but my mom is not relying on anyone, and she's mainly doing everything by herself, as well as my friend. She's Aries as well. She's doing this by herself. Both of them are straightforward. They're a little bit aggressive sometimes, but still, and they're super, super, super similar. If we're talking about Carrie, she's Taurus in real life, and it's really interesting because the real character is Candice Bushnell. She's a Sagittarius, and it does really look like a Sagittarius. She does really look like a Sagittarius because she's running around the city. She's partying a lot. I am a Sagittarius. I'm staying home. I hate parties. I hate, all of this stuff. But most of Sagittarius, they have this, let's say, reputation of party girl, of like having a lot of fun and drinking and multiple partners. So I guess Carrie was more like Sagittarius behaving, but at the same time, I have or maybe had a friend, I don't know, we're not on good terms right now. We had a fight, and she's a Taurus, and she's the same as Carrie, I believe. She's running around the city. She has a little bit of drinking problem, but nonetheless, again, quite weird partner choices, really weird, let's say, not only partners, but her choices in life. So I guess it's probably a mix of Taurus and Sagittarius mainly. And then if we're talking about Charlotte, she's Pisces. She's Pisces in life, and she's Pisces, I guess, in the series as well. You can tell Pisces, though for women Pisces, she's not acting the same way. But a lot of women Pisces, I know they love attention and they love being actresses, and they would love to be an actress. Not all of them are actresses, but a lot of them wanted to be. And I know that they love attention. I know that Charlotte is a little bit romantic, and she's like fantasizing. It's a lot. It's telling me a lot. My husband is Pisces, and he reminds me, like Charlotte reminds me a little bit of my husband. He's, I guess, romantic sometimes, and they're similar, a little bit vulnerable, a little bit have their own dreams, and yeah, I guess we can tell. That's it about Sex and the City and the series itself. I guess I would still rewatch some of the series, some of the episodes later on in a couple of years, because I do this here and there every 2-3 years probably, because I guess this is one of the best series. I love for this to watch is just to have a little bit of fun and for this really witty comments. I can't say this is a realistic show to watch every single day and to live the same way your life is just like so many sexual partners and rejecting guys for, I don't know, for being perfect, for being good, or for not doing whatever you want. But I really liked some of the comments that I don't remember who left. They said if you're over 30, if a guy is over 30 something, then something wrong is probably about him. And they were like, but we're still over 30 and there's probably something wrong with us. And then we're like, no. And they neglected this idea immediately. I guess it might not be true that there's something wrong with you in particular, but sometimes it's true that someone over 30 they might have a little bit different expectations, and they might have a little bit different point of view, and that is the main reason why they're not in serious relationship. One thing when you are divorced by 30, or you had some serious relationship but it didn't work out, and you devoted, I guess, maybe like 5 or 6 years of your life in this relationship, but when that's always a fling after fling, week by week, I guess maybe there is something wrong. I guess there is something wrong, and maybe you should see someone like a shrink. I mean, as for Miranda, obviously she just didn't really need any relationship. She was comfortable to be alone. That's why it's not a problem. It's just her own belief. As well as Samantha, she just really didn't like any relationship. She wasn't meant for a relationship. That's why, again, is there something wrong? No, it's not wrong. It's her own choice. Carrie and Charlotte, on the other hand, like Charlotte, I guess her expectations were a little bit high sometimes, and she lived in this princess world, as well as Carrie. Like, oh, let's. It was more like I need some source for my column instead of just really finding a good guy. Because when she found Aiden, why did she want to go back to Aiden? It was pretty much clear the first time she started cheating on Aiden, then she didn't really love them that much. She was still into Big, so then why did you string a guy for another round and then just, refuse to get married if you knew that it wasn't your type of guy? So for Carrie and Charlotte, I don't know, that might be a little bit weird. But Charlotte got her way out and she finally found a man, not expecting anything from this relationship. She actually found her perfect match. I guess that's it, guys. Finally, again, I'm going to be saying goodbye. Today's podcast is the final part, I guess, of Sex and the City. Next time, we're going to talk about something interesting, and I hope it's going to be a little bit spooky, maybe. Okay, till my next time, guys. I love you all so much. Bye-bye.